Welcome to turning a moment into a movement.
This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gon' let it shine. I'm gon' let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night, the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit, all I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for me. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a cup of noodles. Hey, you know what that feel like? You know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, doughboy weak, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, weak. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV, ooh-wee, cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Ooh. Salute. Salute. You do good, bro?
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, and welcome to Turning a Moment into a Movement. I am J Love, and welcome. I'm also the creator of the Justice for Gerard movement. Gerard's my son who was wrongly convicted for a crime he didn't do. And because of that, we created this platform to come here every week to educate our community about wrongful convictions. And so we have a mission statement, and our mission here at Turning Moment into a Movement. Turning a Moment into a Movement was inspired by the wrongful conviction of Gerard Haycraft and built from the urgent need to create a safe, empowering space for all who have been harmed by injustice. Our mission is to shine a light on wrongful convictions, over sentencing, and the neglect of those who are mentally ill, medically frail within the criminal legal system. We are committed to uplifting voices, sharing truths, and advocating for those too often silenced. Through education, community organizing, and courageous storytelling, we work to disrupt the systems, policies, and patterns that fuel injustice, transforming awareness into collective action and turning every moment into a movement for real change. Yes, that's why we come here. And thank you for joining us. Tonight, this evening, we're gonna talk about a wrongful conviction story. And the title is Convicted at Glance: The Case of Kenyon Clinton and the Cost of Faulty Identification. So, if you've been following us for a while, you know that misidentification is one of the top reasons why wrongful convictions happen. And so we're going to dig deep into his story today. We're going to bring on Trisha. Greetings.
Baba. Hey, everybody. What's
How
up,
are you?
Ipsy? What's up, Brent? What's up, Southeastern Michigan and abroad? Blessed to be here. I tell you, if you alive today, you are blessed. I don't care what your circumstances are, you are blessed. If it's a day above ground, I don't care if problems are presenting themselves. Just focus on the fact that you are alive and posture yourself center yourself on gratefulness. And I promise you, the grace of God will soften the blow. Not saying problems won't come, because problems are gonna come. But when your mindset is just wrapped on the things that you can control and the things that you can be grateful for, it'll ease your blow and it'll ease your mindset too. Because there's so much going on. If we don't change our mindset, people are gonna really be hurting, because it's tragedy everywhere. But we just gotta sit in gratefulness and not be delusional. Process your emotions, but don't stay there. Because every day, no matter what, we are blessed.
Yes. And so I woke up to this morning to a lot of stuff that's going on in this war, another stuff, and all that craziness. So you're right. We have to always focus on what it is that I'm grateful for. And so, yeah, I agree 100%, Trisha. So we got a lot to dig into. So
Wow.
Kenyon Clinton, I'm going to bring in also powerful guy, Dion Riggins L.
Go with the claps, Jay.
Oh, hold on. Look. Hold on. Where's the claps?
That's bro. Yeah, that's bro.
How y'all doing tonight? This evening?
We're doing good. So I know you've been here before, Dion, but introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you do, because you do a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. God got me doing a lot. My name is Dion Riggins, the co-founder of Free People, Free People. I'm also was appointed as the president of POPs First, Power of the People. I was appointed the president of that, and we're gonna get off into that a little later on. What POPs First is, Power of the People. I do a lot of advocating for our returning citizens, community engagement. I like to work with our youth to, filter their minds with the possibilities of the things that they can do in the future if they stay focused. So I like working with our youth in that way. I do the work. I'm in the work. Y'all know what I do. I do the same thing Miss Trachet do. We standing for justice, and we standing for equality, and we standing for rights for humanity. That's what I do.
Yeah, I gotta give you a salute, brother, because talk about consistent. Ever since I have met you, and I'm sure before, you have just been on the battlefield. And I say the battlefield for God, because you can't walk this walk in this fight for real if you're not moving in the strength and the power of God. Because once you come up against that brick wall, you're going to quit. And I think you alluded to that earlier. So many people, they try to battle in their own strength, but I just watched the power of God just resonate through all the work that you do. And I'm just so grateful for you, and, the work you do in LA. I mean, you left a lot out. Okay,
I went to an event today. And it was pertaining to, they was honoring certain individuals for the things that they do, and those brothers and those sisters, for the brothers, it's not just me. It's this, but I'm a vessel, put it like that. I'm not the guy that's doing it all. There's people behind that's assisting me in doing what I'm doing for the sake of for humanity, for the sake of our children, for the sake of the culture, all that, So,
yes, for the sake of God.
I got a brother on the phone right now that's listening to this conversation that's part of the Pops First, Power of the People.
Oh wow.
His name is Hickshill, Edward Hickshill, from Lakewood facility. He's here with us, but right now, brother, you want to say anything right quick while we got you on the line?
Yeah, well, how y'all doing? I don't know. But based upon what I heard the brother say, and then based upon what I heard the sister say, given that we're speaking about uplifting our communities, educating our children, expressing the importance of voter participation and involvement in the legislative process, cleaning up our neighborhoods, trying to make sure the men that are returning to society have been rehabilitated, have changed their mindsets, and they're prepared to be assets to society. And the fact about that, we must consider and understand that when the Lord or when God works through us, nothing can stop us, but we do need his help, his assistance, his guidance, and his power. But when we tap into it in the collective manner, whatever it is that we seeking to obtain or bring into manifestation will occur.
It'll do it every time. You're right. Basically, what we're talking about, man, is today, how the show that I'm on turn a moment into a movement. The sister advocates. She advocates for the wrongfully convicted, not just for the wrongfully convicted, for like what you just spoke about. Empowering and voting and all, legislation and all that. So she real adamant in doing that. And we was just talking about the work that I do. And I was explaining, as you heard, that the work that I do, we do. It ain't just, it's not me. From you to come from saying that from the aspect of being in prison and still being present.
Yes, sir.
We had to have you on the phone for a minute.
Yes, sir. We definitely work together with the brother. He is the president of Pop First, which is an organization that is designed to educate the masses in order to utilize their vote in a collective manner that actually brings about results which improves their communities, and prison reform and criminal justice reform, even when it relates to wrongful convictions. As an individual within the system, there are men on the average go in between 15 to 20 to maybe even 30 years before they can actually are able to receive a form of justice. And that type of time span, the emotional, economical, spiritual hardships that an individual must face, go through, and overcome to remain focused, man, it is extremely, extremely difficult. So some convicted man in this position can find himself at some trying times, just trying to hold on to some form of hope. So I'll put in all of my support and power behind supporting something of that nature.
Yeah, you guys were just talking about earlier. The brother was saying, about manifestation, and I just really encourage people really to tap in. I think a lot of times we come from a place of helping and all of that from the out in, but everything is from the in out, right? And it's like, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself, what I'm saying, as an extension of the creator? You know what I mean? When you really tap in, oh my gosh, like, I can't even explain it. And I think that's the fuel to keep going. It's not that we so great. It's that we finally realize where our help comes from. When you know where your help comes from, you standing in the strength of God and that you've been anointed to move forward. You cannot. Sometimes I want to stop. I can't stop.
Yeah, I understand that. But what keeps me thriving and keep going, man, because it's this humanity, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? And when you treat humanity in a certain way, anybody should feel a certain kind of way about injustice.
Yeah.
You know, everybody should feel a certain kind of way of being mistreated. You know, so even though we come up out of the out of the situations, but some people get caught up in that situation, man, and lose it. So that's why we fight for justice. You know, we know that prison what they say, the prison industry, what it is, it's an industry, exactly what they say it is. It's trained to go a certain way, and that's how they're making it go. You know, with some of the things that go on that do inside of the prisons that they don't want people to know about out here. But brothers like Hicks Hill and organizations like the chapter National Lifers of America, in particular the chapter 1013, those brothers at that particular space is actually doing the work from inside out. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all are. In that reference, we just happen to be blessed to be at a facility that has an administration that is supportive of rehabilitation, which doesn't happen throughout the Michigan Department of Corrections. But this is a special facility. They promote education, they promote peer-to-peer programming, so where individuals can have access to the information that's necessary for them to be able to identify the struggles that they may be facing emotionally, the hardships they may be facing psychologically due to past extremes from their environment that the average person couldn't be able to identify, articulate, nor process. And so they provide that form of education in that environment, and the men in this environment at this particular facility, we try to work hard to overcome the day-to-day hardships that one may face from not being able to see his family, or the wrongs of which he committed, or the fact that he's innocent, or the fact that the people around you are predatory. You have to be able to keep your mind focused. We have a psych here who actually provides relative, valid, and caring information so that all the mind may be shaped in a certain way. So as the president of Chapter 1013 of the National Rifles of America Incorporated, it is my goal to make certain that the world understands that we are human beings, that if we apply ourselves in an earnest, honest, God-caring fashion, that we are able to and should be allowed the opportunity to return to society as redeemed people. You know, redeemed is work. You don't just become redeemed. You have to put the work in. You have to study. You have to understand yourself. You have to begin to help your environment. And as a chapter,
that's what Church Shay was just talking about.
We do community work all around the state of Michigan, but we do it from a caring place, so it manifests. The thought of it, when we speak it, it just happens because we're doing it from a loving place and understanding. We don't want nobody else to come this way. That's my goal. I don't want no young man or no young woman or nobody to come back to come to prison, or even to become a victim of because of the manner in which someone was thinking. I don't want no young man to think that it's cool to sell drugs no more.
Right.
Like, that shouldn't be cool. That's not what is cool. And so, I'm just blessed to be in the position that I'm in, despite where I'm at, and for God to be able to work through me and for me to utilize this position to help others.
And this brother's on his way home as well. You know, he just had a parole hearing, so we got to make sure we keep energy towards that. You know, bring him home. He's definitely on his way, and when I can't wait till you know how that saying says, you can't wait till somebody get here, man. I can't wait till these people come home, man, so I can still be in the work, but actually the stuff that we're gonna put together that we already got in progress right now. You know what I'm saying? Like the event we went to today with the organization about the voters block. I can't think of it.
So who am I speaking with, if you don't mind, so I can know who I can identify I'm speaking to in the room?
Well, we got Miss J Love. She's the host of Turning a Moment into a Movement. Trashay Duckworth is the founder of Survival Speaks. She got an organization for Survival Speaks on advocating for wrongfully convicted people. Miss J Love's son was wrongfully convicted. And he wound up making a transition and this is why it moves her, keep her moving on doing the work that she do within this community of people being wrongfully convicted and and suffering from mental illness, mental health issues or issues of health or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's who's on I'm on her platform today.
Okay, so it's turn a movement into a moment, or turn a moment into a movement?
Turning a moment into a movement.
Okay, exactly. That's a great title, and that's a great name for your organization. Today was about turning a moment into a movement. The moment was centered around bringing leaders together from all around the state to celebrate and honor their advocacy work, such as you, ma'am. I would love to probably get you involved the next time around. Having those leaders communicate about the manner and the services that they provide to the community, and how we need to come together in this moment and form bonds and create this moment and transition it into a movement to where not only we're not just speaking about just going to the ballot boxes in droves as individuals. We're saying as a group who live in specific areas.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Taking part in the census and voting, so that when resources are needed, they can be allocated to the areas in which we are voting and showing up as citizens, requiring those who represent us to make certain that our neighborhoods are safe. Mm-hmm. Specifically building relationships with the authorities, creating seminars around education. But before this ends, I'd like to thank y'all for the moment of being able to meet you, hear your names, and
you'll be meeting them soon, brother. You'll be meeting them in person once you come home, man. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, brother.
Okay.
It's nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Peace. Peace, more.
Peace.
Yeah.
Wow.
With Hicksville.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kenyon Clinton, you guys. You guys could take it.
Oh my goodness. So real quick, and then I'm gonna give it over to Dion. But I'm trying to figure out how I learned about Kenyon. I want to say it was one of the exonerees that turned me on to Mr. Clinton. I was so disturbed because I'm like, he got a whole recording of a prosecutor actually saying that they have faulty ID and he's still in prison. I couldn't wrap my mind around that. And then, the fact that just the logistics behind it, it's not just witness misidentification, it's witness no identification. Because how you see somebody with a mask on, right? Like this have so many holes in it. And, so I just think that that brother was done so wrong. And, I can't wait till he can get his day in court. So that, they can reverse what they've done, because they already know. They admitted it. So it's time to act on it.
Yes. Is Kiana? Bring him on in.
Bro.
Three-way call versus violation of identity policy. Thank you for using GTL.
What's going on, bro? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, Keon.
So we you just got your introduction, man, and Trisha was just talking about your case, about what was circumstances around your case and how you got to where you at through your faulty identity. So you could coming from you and let us know how did it get to be like that, and where is it at now?
Well, first I just want to thank you all, for the support and the love, and just to be brief, I was wrongfully convicted of armed robbery, kidnapping, and felony firearm on May 14, 2002 in the city of Warren, based solely off a single source witness identification that was conducted and set up at the hands of the Warren Police Department. You know, I was not at the crime scene, had no involvement in the crime. I'm actually innocent of the crime. I was actually arrested on an unrelated crime, and the police officers had the victim in the case, David Cantel, come to the unrelated arraignment and say I was the guy. Now, the problem with that is, on the night of the crime against David Cantel, he told the police officers that he couldn't identify any other suspects he'd seen again, that the suspect was 6 foot, 170 pounds, dark skinned. That's not me. I'm 5'10", medium complexion. He also stated that the suspects had a mask over their face. And this was the reason why the police officers never actually gave me a lineup. This is why they told him to come to the unrelated arraignment and say I was the guy, because he couldn't identify nobody he'd seen again. And where I did not was that I ended up getting eyewitness identification expert, Dr. Margaret Bull-Cabrera, and she made an expert opinion in 2023 that the identification and every in-court identification after that was improperly suggested. It was contaminated by the whole procedures. And it was biased and suggestive. Now, I had a Wade hearing. And at the Wade hearing, the judge said that it was improperly suggestive. But at the Wade hearing, the victim lied and said, I was a suspect because I didn't have nothing over my face. But at trial, the same victim stated that the gunman had a mask on. Here I am guilty. No evidence at all. I got an alibi witness, Miss Ernestine Payton, placing me with her at the time of the crime. I took a polygraph showing I was actually innocent of the crime. And my co-defendant pled guilty to the crime and confessed that he committed the crime and that I was nowhere near the crime scene.
Could you let us know about some of the conversations that you had with the prosecutor down in Macomb? I mean, where you at?
Yeah, sure.
And the stuff that we had already, that we put together, that they said it was going to do, but haven't got to it.
Oh, no, absolutely. The issue was that the Macomb, I had a conversation with the chief of the appellate division of the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, Joshua Abbott, in 2023, in November the 17th and November the 22nd. And he confessed on the phone call, on the audio call that we have, that the identification was trouble. And so I'm telling this guy, hey man, we need to talk to the judge before this judge make a ruling and deny me and I'm screwed. If you know the identification is improper, then you should step up to correct this, because your job as a prosecutor is to be an administrator of justice. He informs me on the phone call, hey man, our conviction integrity unit, Gail Palmakoff, and head prosecutor Peter Lucido don't want to do anything about it. They know it's wrong. It's over my pay grade. I can't correct it. But he instructed me to write him a 5-page letter addressed to him and carry Peter Lucido, and that he would take the 5-page letter to Peter Lucido and advocate and point out all the issues to Peter Lucido on why the identification in my case is messed up and why it needs to be looked at again. And the reason for that was because they just exonerated Matt Johnson Howell in 2023 using new scientific identification with an identification expert. His expert is Dr. Jennifer Dysart of John Jay College. My expert is Dr. Margaret Bull-Cabrera at John Jay College. But here's the difference. The Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, CIU Director, Gail Palmakoff, and Head Prosecutor Peter Lucido retained Dr. Jennifer Dysart of John Jay College on behalf of the suspect in the Mac Howell case, Mac Johnson Howell. They retained the expert in that case for $5,000. And they said that the identification expert report in that case was new evidence and exonerated him. My expert is over his expert. My expert co-authored the 2020 white papers, which shows that it's a new shift in scientific consensus under Michigan Court Rule 6.502G3. Now, I hired my own expert, and they said it's not new. And I said, well, how could it be new for him and not new for me? During the phone calls with Joshua Abbott. And he said, I don't know. So now I goes to the trial court. She denies it, saying all of this stuff's not new. I asked the Macomb County Chief Circuit Court judge to give me a new judge because she was biased, didn't do it. I go to the Court of Appeals, get denied. The Michigan Supreme Court on January the 16th, 2026, unanimously reversed my case back to the Macomb County Circuit Court, stating that Macomb County Circuit Court error, and they need to look at my new scientific evidence to show that it's newly discovered evidence that's entitling me to relief and judgment. Now, my ex-judge, Diane Druzinski, retired, and I have the new judge now, Rachel Rencilio, and I have a date set for March the 23rd 2026, in front of Macomb County Circuit Court Judge Rachel Rosilio at 8:30 in the morning, 3rd floor. And, you know, and I want you all to know that wrongful eyewitness identifications is the leading cause for all wrongful convictions all over the country. It's the leading cause. Now, the Wayne County Event Sentinel Review Team, headed by Kim Worthy, the Chief Judge, Chief Todd Pedersen of the Detroit Police Department, the Penn Carey law people in the university in Pennsylvania, they came out with a study based on Eric Anderson's case in November 2025. And it shows that single source eyewitness identifications is the most unreliable piece of evidence that you could ever use. And I'm using all these things in conjunction to show that I'm actually innocent of the crime and I don't supposed to be here. And the problem is that nobody wants to admit that they got it wrong. Now, here it is. The prosecutor, Joshua Abbott, admitted on a phone call that they got it wrong. But what he didn't know that his own words would be used against him, making it inescapable. And despite that, we had a conversation with Peter Lucido, the head prosecutor, on July 2nd, 2025. And he said, hey, I'm going to look into the faulty eyewitness identification. I'm going to look into whether your alibi witness, Ernestine Payton, why she wasn't called at trial. Since then, I got an affidavit from the attorney, Mark Haddad, who represented me at trial. I got that July 10th, 2025. That's in front of the judge, too, showing that he never contacted my alibi witness. That's why the alibi witness never showed up to court. In fact, he filed the wrong name in the notice of alibi, eliminate my alibi defense altogether. This was a sham trial if I ever seen one. I was forced to represent myself at trial, just like I was forced to represent myself on appeal. And by the grace of God, I got a reversal by the Michigan Supreme Court because the evidence supports the claim. Because the evidence supports the claim. And without the help of Trisha, Deion Riggins-Hill, Larry Darnell Smith, Dwayne Williams-Bay, just everybody that's been supporting me through this journey, you know, I wouldn't be here. You know, so I'm very thankful, but it has to be some real attention and support put on this because it's been a heavy burden put on me. I've been locked up 24 years for a crime I didn't commit. And during that time, my son was murdered May 3rd, 2025 at that Foot Locker. He was killed by an innocent girl. He was killed by the girl. She's 19. And I don't want that to happen to the little girl, but it mentally takes a toll on me. You know, I'm asking the Macomb County prosecutors to bring justice to the murderer of the people that killed my son in Macomb, but at the same time, give me justice of a crime I didn't commit. Had I not been here, I could have been out there to save my son.
Would have been
a lot of things weighing on me.
Would have been safe.
There ain't no doubt. It's just a lot of things weighing heavily on me. So when I see the stories like that just ran with Crystal Clark, shout out to Crystal Clark and all the women down there in Huron Valley, that needs to be exposed because they are hiding all of the truths. And what they're doing is they're getting taxpayer dollars, they're getting taxpayer fundings, they're getting illegal votes, they're getting put up in these offices, and they're not doing nothing. They're not doing nothing. That's
why we're gonna replace them, bro. So, and you know that we just was talking about election time is coming up to change some of the narrative on how they actually move around in the correctional process of rehabilitating people.
Absolutely.
Alexa, to you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you.
And no, and it's just at some point the prosecutors need to be held accountable. They need to be stripped of their immunity. The judges need to be held accountable, stripped of their immunity. Because when they give these irrational rulings against the obvious evidence, nothing happens to them. But I filed my appeal 2023 with the new scientific evidence, and here it is 3 years later, and it took me 3 years to get right back in front of the same people. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Do the right thing you can just do the right thing. I mean, when we had that meeting with them, he could have did the right thing then. It was the same information. He was so pissed, like, you know, he couldn't believe that somebody in his office said that. No, you just couldn't believe that this brother was smart enough to make sure that that call was recorded so it could turn evidence. And in the state of Michigan, you have the right to record your phone calls, just FYI, for people that may not know it, and it can be admissible in court. So, I mean, you know, he had the right the opportunity to do something then, and he did not. But be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever man so that shall y'all.
When the brother go to court, when the brother have his hearing, a lot gonna come out of that hearing. So
Yes.
at that hearing, the hearing is based on what? What is the hearing about that you're going to?
The hearing is based on I was remanded from the Michigan Supreme Court for them to reconsider my expert testimony under new scientific evidence. So that's one part of it. And then in addition to that, I filed a motion for a future hearing showing that my attorney was ineffective for failing to investigate my alibi witness. I also filed a motion for a Frank's hearing because in the prosecutor's file, the Warren Police Detective Mark Christian, he filed the warrant request to get the warrant to lock me up. And he suppressed the fact that the witness stated he couldn't identify nobody you're seeing again, and that the suspect had a mask on, and that I didn't fit the description. He left all of those things out in order to get the warrant to even establish probable cause to lock me up. I found that in the prosecutor's file in 2024. All of those things are on the table on top of me being resentenced because they gave me 35 years to 60 years plus 2 for the gun. And then when they raised the age up to 20 under the juvenile license, I fell under that age bracket. So there's no way possible I should be sentenced to 35 to 60 years plus 2 for the gun and get nobody die. But juvenile lifers who getting found guilty of first degree murder and second degree murder, getting lesser sentences like 18 to 30.
Yep. And right quick on that, the prosecutor and attorney that's going to be the prosecutor there is aware of that you could possibly get resentenced.
Because also in the phone calls with Joshua Abbott that we had recorded, and I want y'all to listen to the recordings. The brother will put them out there on his live pages and Trishay and see you guys the transcripts. In the documents, he said, I don't even understand how you got all that time you got. He said, this sentence is double the sentence on any other case I've ever seen. So I'm saying now he's confessing and conceding that I got too much time. So during the hearing on the 23rd, he said, I have no problem with confessing to me getting a reduced sentence because it's just in the case of People versus Hubbard, they just gave this guy 18 years to 30 years for second degree murder, attempt murder, and armed robbery. I'm innocent of the crime first and foremost, but doing the alleged facts of the crime, nobody was even shot, let alone killed. Here I am, I got 37 years and 60 years for armed robbery.
How long have you been incarcerated?
I've been in prison 24 years coming up this May. 24 flat years. And so my thing is, even when I go down there, if you resentence me under the right standard to 10 years on the minimum to 20 on the max, I max out and discharge, and I still fight my actual innocence because I'm never going to admit guilt to something that I didn't do. If I was going to plead guilty to the crime, I could have pled guilty years ago, but I didn't do it.
Yes, sir.
How old was your son when you went to prison?
You have 1 minute remaining.
Say that again?
How old was your son when you went to prison?
When my son died, he was 25 years old. His name was Javon Newman.
How old was he when you went to prison?
Almost 2 years old. He was a baby.
You coming back in another 15, so we gonna.
I'm coming back in another 15 minutes. You know, my son got raised by the streets, man. You know, it's sad. And you know, the end result is, you know, now my son is deceased. You know.
And if you'd have been home at your son's age of even 15 years, yes, sir.
I could have saved my son, man. You know, and I'm trying not to hold that resentment in me and that anger in me, so I'm trying to just raise somebody else's son at this stage, trying to find forgiveness, trying to find peace. As hard as it is, but I'm striving every day to be better. Yes, you know, like I say, I'm going to call back in 15 minutes.
We'll be here.
That's what I'm saying, too, about these wrongful convictions, man. It's like, first of all, what they take people through to even get any type of compensation, to me, is despicable, number one. But the fact that they think that any dollar amount would be worth what they lost. You know, people have lost parents. This man lost his son, his baby.
You know what I learned about the criminal justice system is that the way it's set up is they always have, it's like a case law thing. If you got to find this case to match that case, you got to have this policy number to match that policy number. But when it comes down to us, and this is the honest truth, the reason why we get hoodwinked, don't go into prison, is because we don't get ourselves involved. Some of our literacy rate is not together. And I understand that. But if you get your literacy rate up together and read certain things, some of this stuff wouldn't even be happening within our system.
Yes.
Or if you tell your family to get on Chat GPT and they can read it for you, okay? That's the thing too. It's like, how do we teach? And we're going to be doing this through Teach Them How to Fish LLC, teaching families how to activate themselves. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody at all, right? And so how do we take it into our own hands, link up together as a family and actually do the work and link up with other advocates and really fight for your loved one?
You have to take for an individual to go to prison. Like the brother Hitzel said, certain institutions got certain way. They teaching, you learn that. But then you got certain other institutions they send our young men to, that ain't there.
Right. And so we have to have a mindset to be more proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
By the time you go to prison, you're reacting.
Yeah.
And so they 2, 10, 20 steps ahead of you because now you're trying to catch up. Mm-hmm. We have to, before that happens, we have to start educating ourselves. I know we're so disconnected and we don't pay attention to, because we have this mindset, well, it's not me, where it don't have nothing to do with me. And it does have something to do with you because your money, first of all, your tax money is paying for all of this.
That part.
And so if the Michigan Department of Corrections getting $2.2 billion a year, who is that coming from? It's coming from you.
Yeah.
It's coming from you. So you're paying for your own demise because you're not paying attention. So we have to do better as a community, as people, to start educating from little kids on up. We can't wait till they get 18 and start telling us stuff. I know we start, when they start driving, we want to, hey, don't do this, don't do that. They should know even before they get a license what's going on out here. Yeah. I was listening to the story from Mark on 7 Mile Radio, and he was talking to a gentleman who was in East Point, and he got arrested, and he had his daughter with him. And instead of them calling the grandparents or somebody to pick up the daughter, they took her to jail and put her in a detention cell. So this baby, 8 years old, sitting in a detention cell. And they was like, oblivious. And she had her iPad and she was able to call her grandma to tell them to come get her. By then, she had been sitting in the cell over an hour.
Going through some, that you know what that causes? That causes trauma.
Yeah.
Yes.
That causes trauma.
Yes.
That's why we have to focus on. I'm so glad God gave Shay the energy to go down and Shawana and all you sisters that was down there, the energy to go down there to confront those legislative people. Because we got to start looking at, the brother said today, we got to start looking at ourselves in those positions.
Yeah.
That's how you get, that's what leadership is. When you start it's a $1 trillion business, but it's still got to be ran. So we put the right people in position in a voting matter and let it run the way it's supposed to be ran. Rehabilitation, people, it's one thing that I learned about life. You got good, you got bad, you got good, and you got the ugly, right? So crimes is going to be committed because the way society offers things to make people get into crime, the drugs, the drinking. You don't have the crime only occurs when your mind is stimulated by something that's altering your thoughts to do something.
Yeah.
So people got to be aware of that, and man, just taking people off the street just by locking them up don't change no narrative about what's going to happen with the next 3 weeks in our communities dealing with violence. So, and he could have saved his son. His son. He just said that his son was raised by the streets, and he was in prison. I don't know I don't know the connection between him and his son's relationship while he was in prison, because it has been, we got individuals that's locked up that like Daryl Woods was locked up, and he had to raise his son out within prison, and he was successful. But it was the mindset of the brother Kenyon, because he was in the street. He was in the street when he went to prison. So when he come back, we're gonna. That's something that I want to talk to him about, because he was in the street while his son was born, and when his son got born, when you go to prison, if you go to prison with a street mentality, Kenyon probably didn't go to prison thinking, what do you have to do to get out? He wasn't thinking about that at 20-something years old, because he didn't start fighting for his freedom until he started learning how to go to the law library and learning how to do certain things to show the way our judicial system is. He didn't help people get out. So he could have saved his son if he would have got resentenced, if he would have got resentenced under the juvenile lifeless law.
That's a whole nother thing too that they don't understand. You can't get back the time, right? That's one thing. But they think when they snatch someone from being wrongfully convicted that it just impacts them. It impacts their entire family, their children, their mother, their nieces, their grandmothers. I mean, even the community, the surrounding community, right? Because if you attack a family that's in the community, then ultimately the community is going to feel that as well. And so, with these wrongful convictions, it's so despicable the way that our legislators will not put put laws in place to protect people. So on the front end, right? Because if somebody comes in saying I'm innocent, if I was a prosecutor, I would put the conviction integrity unit on it right then and there. Let them see it first. And then, it's so many things that could be done on the front end. We do not have to keep wasting taxpayer dollars.
When you got police officers and other police officers holding back evidence and holding back the thing that could get you out, when that don't show up, then they're gonna use a tactic, because that's what the prosecutors do. They got a tactic to convict you.
Yeah.
And if they don't got a report that they got from the arresting officer, if he done left out some stuff or he done put something in it that caused somebody to look at the law differently, the prosecutor gonna use what they got. Like this hearing, this is gonna be a real interesting hearing that this brother is about to go to, because it's a lot of things that the prosecutor gonna have to make decisions on. With the faulty ID, with the alibi witness, all that, and you don't want to play back. You don't want to play back what they already know.
Right.
That, because that man did say that he would look into it, and then when he asked about who the person that did it, when he got to him, they had to have some kind of ruling before he was waiting on that he didn't send in. That part
right there. And then what he said also too, as far as the sentencing. So now y'all got faulty witness ID, you got prosecutorial misconduct, you got police misconduct, you got sentencing issues. To me, I don't know how any prosecutor would allow that to come before them and not do something about it. And ironically enough, and I got to speak to this. So I called Pete Lucido. I'm like, oh my God, I remember, because I had spoke with him before about wrongful convictions, and he was really passionate about it, So I called him like, yes, for Survivor Speak, I would just like to talk to you about wrongful convictions, and he said, okay, So his secretary, whoever, set it up. Man, because I never said about a single wrongful conviction, and I never told him that the dream team was coming on, right? Man, when he logged onto that live, he was like, "Oh, okay." Then we started talking to him. He tried to, when I first started talking,
Mm-hmm.
cut me off. He was like, what? When I said Kenyon's name, no, I cannot talk about this. But then the brothers just came in. But we should have recorded that, because just to see it.
I got the whole thing. I got the whole Zoom. Clinton was on the phone when he first started talking. So
wow.
It shouldn't even have to be about that, because it ain't really about that conversation. That was just us displaying that. But when
it just shows how prosecutors are so calculated and so like, because at the end of the day, no matter what or how the meeting came about or whatever, we're coming to you with evidence. If I was a prosecutor, I would want to hear that. And when we told him, this is what I was going to get to, we told him about the tape, the recording. Did we play the recording? I think I played the recording.
Mm-hmm.
Or we told him about the recording. He was like, get him in my office right now. So when he did all those theatrics, I just was like, well, maybe he's gonna do something, because it probably was like, why the hell would you tell them what I said?
On the 30th of March, the brother got a hearing coming up in Macomb. If anybody is available to go there, if they would let me video and put it on Zoom, to have y'all there to see what it is, but to be there in the flesh is what needed. The more people come down to see how his case under faulty identity, anybody can be. They identify us. They think we all look alike anyway. You know what I'm saying? So anybody could go through a false identity and then they get convicted.
Yeah.
And he got proof to show it. He got proof to show that. So, they pull people over every day, and not just in Michigan, probably somewhere every day for looking like somebody else.
That part. It can happen to any one of us. Come on, the brother. They said the witness said they had on a mask. So that means he could have came and got any one of us, right? And I think that's the thing that people got to start thinking about when it comes to injustice, just in general. We sometimes look at it like, oh, those people over there, until it happens to us. And then we're like, oh, shit, wait a minute, let it not get to the point where it has to happen to us. Let it get to the point where if it happens to one of us, then it's happening to all of us. And we all have to put our hands to the plow, raise our voices. When they ask you to show up, bring a sign, bring your shirts. Just bring your body, because what you don't understand is that in those legal systems, when you have support, that weighs out a lot in some of these cases, man.
Let's not look at it as happening like that, man. That's why recidivism is real. Let's before it happens. Let's get it before, so they won't look at us like in that fashion. So there's certain other communities, they don't look at them Arabs or you name another nationality as they did something wrong. Are they out here robbing somebody? They don't look at them like that.
That's because they stand up and they stand together. For one, that's because they have in their communities, they have lawyers and they have so much going on in their communities that they was like us until they found out that they needed power. And so once they found out they needed power, they started running for office. They started going to law school. They started doing all of these things to place themselves in power. Mm-hmm. And instead of, like I said earlier, being reactive, they became proactive. And that's what we have to do. We have to educate ourselves. I know it's hard, people. I know you want to hang out and you want to smoke and you want to do all the activities. But we have to, especially in the society that we're living in right now, we have to become more proactive. We have to, everybody's not going to be a basketball player. Everybody's not going to be a football player. Right, we need some attorneys in our families. We need some attorneys. We need people to get educated about the law and understanding the law. And then we need to teach each other the law so we can stand up and stand firm. It's more than just taking a video. Like, I'm going to take this video and post it online. It's more than that. You got to understand the procedures. Just like that oversight hearing, we had to learn the procedures. It wasn't just have a hearing. We had to find somebody who was going to stand up and stand with us. And then we had to follow whatever the procedures was to make that happen on that day. It just don't happen. And we look at stuff like it's just going to happen. No, you got to talk to the right person, because if you're not talking to the right person, you're going to get kicked right back to where you started from. You got to start all over again.
Right quick. Sometimes when you amongst people, that's a power, and when you amongst people with power, the respect level is different.
Yeah.
Say that the respect level is different. I noticed when y'all was down there at the Capitol, and that one guy sat up there, and I don't know what the circumstances was, but he lied about something that he said that he didn't say. He never did think nobody was going to confront him about that. You know, that's why he took, and then he turned around. I'm glad I wasn't there, because when a person get like this up in your face, and especially a woman, that's unacceptable. So you don't get up in somebody's face, but she handled that and told him, followed him down them stairs, told him what she said. She told him, and then he couldn't walk all the way down the stairs. He had to come back up the stairs and walk by everybody else again. So when that situations happen like that, you got to be a power. This the brother coming back in.
Okay.
I got
good.
So I'm gonna ask him. Like he asked, his son was 2 years old when he went to prison.
I wonder how old he was when he went in.
A couple years old. We're gonna talk about his street cred, like, because his son actually went to the streets. We're gonna ask him how that happened, because he was in the street.
Yeah. That's why I believe they wanted to convict him so bad, because they knew he was in the street. So they figured, let's get him for this since we can't get him for nothing else. And they do that a lot, especially in Wayne County.
Yeah, they do it everywhere.
Monitoring and recording. Three-way calls are strictly prohibited in the violation of an MDOC policy. Thank you for using GTL.
It's long. Hey, right quick, man. We got a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
The first question pertaining to the you mentioned that if you was home, you could have been raising your son, which is true. I feel that it is true that you would have been raising your son. But being that your son was 2 years old when you went to prison, and you was still you was in your 20s, you was and with you being in your 20s, and the character that you were when you was in your 20s, the question is, when you was in the street, because there's no issue about or nothing about how you was doing when you was out here. You know what I'm saying? What was you into, right?
Well, right. So to give you a backdrop of my life before prison.
Yes, sir.
I was born and raised on the east side of Detroit. I excelled in school. I actually was going to college. I dropped out of college in 1998 when my baby mother got pregnant, and then my mother had died, Thanksgiving 1998. I was going to school. I was going to SUNY University in 61 Quincy Street, Hancock, Michigan. I actually got a scholarship from the then Governor John Engler. And Engler, I got it's called a TIP, Tuition Incentive Program. I had a full scholarship. I was going to school to be a lawyer, actually. And I dropped out of school. My mama started getting high. She died in 98. I had a son. I turned to the streets, started selling drugs, things of that nature. But I was never like hardcore thugging in the street, like criminal. I was just doing the things at that time.
You was making money.
You was absolutely. I was in survival mode. I was
trying to survive, exactly.
And so, my father died in 94. My daddy was Craig Lee Jackson Bay. My mama died in 98. So you have to understand that what we don't really understand in the urban community is mental illness, mental wellness, and untreated trauma, right? So it repeats itself, because now I'm not so much in parent mode, I'm in survival mode, because I'm still a child myself. you know, at that stage. Now, you know, when you talk about, like, this is why I represented myself at both of the trials. And even now, I just finished here at Macomb, enrolled in Wayne State University. I just finished my first semester, the winter semester, major in sociology and a minor in entrepreneur business. I had a 4.0. So, like, education has always been driving and thriving me since I was a child because I love to learn. But had I been there the whole time knowing that, okay, I can't really be living in the streets. I got to be making these decisions now. I got to be making and doing different areas of time, different opportunities come about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there's no way in my life that I ever think that I would have been gone 24 years out of my life, because no matter how much time I've been gone, and when I get home, I could never get my son back because my life will never be the same no more.
Right.
He got a 2-year-old daughter.
What kind of relationship?
I have to live for her.
What kind of relationship? What kind of relationship did you and your son have while you was in prison? When he got to a certain age, I'm like when he was 13, 12, 11.
Hey, listen. Let me tell you. I want to thank my son's mother because she allowed my son to be in my life while I was in prison. And she was a child going through the best she could do. So I understand that. And the relationship that I had with my child became stronger when he got older, because I understood some of the decisions that he was thinking about making. My son was going to make a bad decision to hustle. He said, well, Pops, you know, I came to, you sending me money. I got a daughter on the way. I got to go hustle. I said, well, hey, man, I need you to turn it around. What would you want to do different? He said, I really want to get into this asbestos thing. And my right hand to Allah, my son went to the asbestos people. He got certified by the License and Regulatory of Affairs, the LARA people, right when he died, when he got killed. Mm. And so my son was making strides. My son didn't die being a hardcore criminal. My son died that day in the parking lot. My son didn't have a gun. My son died that day because he was trying to save his friend's life. My son was unarmed. He was trying to break up the fight between his friend that had the gun and the other little boy that got into it. And they tussling over the gun. My son trying to stop the other little guy from getting the gun, and the sister run off and get the gun and come back and kill my son. Shoot him in the back, kill him. You know? And so I had to watch that play out on the news, to where these people here at the facility telling me I can't go to my son's funeral. And I want to give a big shout out to Daryl Woods, Orlando Gregory, the real you and Mr. Beat the Odds. They showed up to bury my son for me. I had to watch that play out on Channel 4 News every day. But mind you, they say I'm good enough to go to the Wayne State University college prison program. I'm good enough to do that, but I can't bury my son. So everything I do, I channel into my son, because I understand that my son was hurting, man. Mm-hmm. Men is needed in society. All of the men is locked up or dead, to where now the women are taking on the roles of the men. They putting on the boots and the camouflage. They in the field more than the guys are. So now I've done a mentoring project, and I told you about it. Be ready for my son died. It was called 50 Mentors Raising 50 Kings. And I had the chance to be a part of that from prison. And I spoke a lot to a lot of these young guys, trying to give them a different way to look at life, to change the trajectory. Because you got this gang culture out there, you know, and it's a negative culture.
Tell us a little bit about the gang culture, man. How would that play out, man, the gang culture?
The gang culture, you know, I was doing the music before I got locked up, you know, doing the East Side Cheddar Boy thing. You know, Cheddar Boy Tay, me, Wipeout, Blade, Tough Tone, everybody. But the thing is, people are thinking that Lil Durk is out there selling drugs and Yo Gotti is selling drugs. No, they're selling you a life that they used to live. They getting good money living off in them. They live in Calabasas. They live in gated communities. And so now I'm glad that it took some people to stand up and come back to the communities, like how Big Sean and Usher did with the Boys and Girls Club in Detroit. How you got Vezzo, when you got Peasy, them, now they're able to come back to the same communities and rebuild it up. And rebuild it, because not what you see gentrification now, to where now they buying up everything downtown in the city of Detroit and they pushing everybody out to the suburbs. But that's taking jobs and taking food and opportunities out the mouths of the people that look like us in those communities, man. Mm-hmm. That's what that's doing. You know, but it takes somebody, say for instance, like if a professor told me, if Michael Eric Dyson, that's Dyson Bay brother, a professor, if he come and say, hey man, or Bree and Veal say, hey, the streets ain't cool, they don't want to listen to that. But if Lil Durk come in and say the streets ain't cool, they all gonna listen to that. So sometimes you would have to meet a person where they at, right? You have to package it to where it's likable for them, just so they can open it up and see that there's knowledge and it's a gift there.
Mm-hmm.
And with my son's passing, I'm using that as nothing but positivity, man. I'm turning my pain into purpose. Period, man. If I can go and say, Rick and Phil can attest to it. Daryl Wood said, "Hey, man, I need you to send me a letter to them kids in the youth home and tell them about your situation." I JPay the brother Rick and Phil the letter on JPay, and he sent it to Daryl, and Daryl Woods read the letter to them kids in the youth home. And they're like, "Damn, that's dog daddy? Like, that's dog? Like, yeah, that's my son." You know? And what it does is it lets you know that we're human. Like I said, I don't want that little girl to go to jail. Her going to jail ain't gonna bring my son back. I want that little girl to get some help because she's dealing with untreated trauma herself. All them kids out there dealing with untreated trauma, man, they don't got no respect. There is no more neighbor and neighborhood. It's just the hood now. But this is the design that the systems and the systematic institutions created on purpose. When you talk about over policing in the urban communities, that's by design. When you talk about the harsher sentences for people that look like us, that's by design. When you talk about the police misconduct being overlooked just because the color of our skin and where we from, that's by design. That's by design.
Absolutely.
All of that's by design. And so, you know, we have to really look at the mind state in order to change something. When I get out here, I'm going to work down there at Wayne State. I'm going to school. I'm going to be an advocate for everybody that needs to be doing something. I have something called the Justice League. And it's the Justice League for anybody and everybody that's seeking justice. You don't got to be innocent. You don't got to be white. You don't got to be black. You don't got to be rich. You don't got to be poor, male, female, indifferent. If I can help you, I can help you. That's because right. I understand that my rent on this earth to God is service to other people. Period. That's it. And I understand my purpose now. You know, and I had to lose a lot to get here. And I'm still fighting. And I thank y'all for fighting with me and believing in me and just hearing me out, just making a platform available for me to even say anything. But the thing is, I know it's real because y'all got boots on the ground. A lot of these people out there, they get they
come March the 3rd. Come March the 3rd right quick. We're going to show up, man. And this is the time, you know, opportunity to let people know why they should show up. I think Miss J. Love wanted to say something. Did you want to say something, Miss J. Love?
I did. When he said that he turning his pain into purpose, his grief into purpose, I can really, you know, that really caught me. I could contest with that because that's why we here. I'm turned my pain into purpose and created this platform. So I understand that, you know, moving forward, even in the pain, even in the grief, still focusing on the bigger picture because we all in this together. And so if we don't stand up, if we don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. More of the same. So when you're connecting with your purpose, you'll find a greater meaning in everything.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer that, you know, in order to have a testimony, you got to be tested.
Man.
See, when you get tested and you go through some things, see, when you flying on that plane and that turbulence hit and that plane get the rocking and shaking, see, it's all good when you land in them good destinations and them good locations, you sucking up that sun. But you got to get through the turbulence. And see, God is going to take you through some turbulence just so you can get to your destination. And I understand that now. Now, when we going through the thing, I don't know why my son got killed. I couldn't imagine why I'm sitting in prison 24 years while these people know I don't supposed to be here and still don't want to let me out. But God is saying, hey, listen, I'm trying to show you something. And I had to sit down to really hear that and not be bitter, not be mad, because I got work to do. It's too much work to do for me to be mad. Man,
listen.
I ain't got time to be mad.
Some of the work you already have done, you know, by being in prison, you done help people come home already, you know?
Man, listen, so many guys I helped get out, man, got exonerated, man, you know, and I appreciate them guys. Them guys, they do what they can to support me. I don't ask people for money financially. Hey, man, right now, when I go back to court, they gave me some lawyers from Sato. I did it all on my own, no money, no nothing, man. It's just been God. Like that song Jay-Z and Cadillac did, God did. I can't take no credit for this. I can't. I'm not that smart to take credit for this. I'm not that good. You I'm smart enough to know where my blessings come from. They come from God Allah. I understand that. But the thing is, I want people to know that if I can go through it and preserve it and make it, anybody can make it. You just have to keep going. Like, I'm telling the people, hey, man, the average person that went through what I went through, they probably wouldn't even be here today.
Yeah.
Here today.
We had I have that same conversation with Crystal. Like, Crystal, you here for a purpose. 15 years living exposed to mold, and women that came in and died, and you still here. You're here for a purpose. You're here because change is necessary, and you're the vessel.
Because now 100 other women, thousands of other women here around Valley is standing on her back. They standing on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, the beauty of it is, God keep waking her up every day. God keep waking her up every day. And every day that God wake her up, y'all got to keep her name out there. Y'all got to keep everybody. We got work to do. And it don't stop here. And so my thing is, when we talk about, they just gave some CVI grant funding to all of those organizations in the city of Detroit. I'm saying J Love need to get some of that funding because she got her boots on the ground. Mr. Shea Duckworth needs some of that funding. She got her boots on the ground. Deion Riggins-Hill needs some of that funding because the funding brings resources. That's what the neighborhoods need. That's what the prisons need. They need resources. They don't need no fake people coming up in here telling them some fake stuff with some soup on. And
You have 1 minute remaining.
But right quick before the phone hang up, we I don't need the funding because you know who leading what I'm doing. God is leading what I'm doing, and the victory is going to be assured. So that's why sometimes I don't want your money. I don't need people's money to do what I'm doing.
And it comes from
What's the date? What's the date of the hearing? What's the date of the hearing, real quick? What's the date of the hearing? Where at?
March the 3rd.
The hearing is March the 23rd, 2026, 8:30 a.m. at Macomb County Circuit Court in front of Judge Rachel Rencilio, 3rd floor, courtroom 3N. I'm Kenyon Clinton, 364567, aka K-Bay at Macomb Correctional Facility, 34625, 26 Mile Road, Lenox Township. Email me, pay me, support me, whatever y'all need me to do, man. I'm gonna do it back with y'all, man, and I love y'all. Thank you.
Love you, bro.
Back in 15.
We love you too.
Okay. I don't know if you're gonna be here, but I'll be here. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it's just and when I think about how I would feel if I was incarcerated and something happened to my son.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. Or my nephew. It ain't even got to be my son or my nephew, or somebody close to me in my family that I wanted to be a part of their life. That's disturbing, man. And his aims and objectives of coming back out here and not letting that have him in a way of getting back, or getting some revenge. He's not coming out trying to do that. He's using that energy to help other people out.
Right.
And that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Because I know that's what you do, Miss J Love. I know that's what you do.
Yes.
For you to lose your son to our criminal justice system, first, and fight for that. You know how I go with the experience of going through something like that, and them not and them telling you to prove it. You got to prove it.
Right.
Why should I have to prove that my son didn't do what that y'all said he did? From a mother's perspective, I know, I was in the street, but there's certain things that my mother, that the police came to my mother, and she was like, "No, my son, maybe he would have did that, but he didn't do this."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if he wasn't doing nothing at all, I'm really gonna be concerned about y'all framing my son.
Mm-hmm. Literally, because once they create a narrative, that's it. They're not looking for nobody else. They're finding an easy way out to do what they want to do to somebody, and then they keep on going. And people don't believe it until it happened to them, but it's happening. We wouldn't be here. Deion wouldn't be here every day talking about it and talking to people. Me and Trishay wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing summits. if this wasn't happening. It's happening on a large scale. You know, when they say that it's 2 to 10%, it may be more. You know, people take a plea just not to go or hurry up and get out instead of fight. You know, and so people have to understand we're not talking about small numbers of people. We're talking about a lot of people. Yes, we're not talking about everybody. Of course, we know that there is some people that do stuff, but there's a whole lot of this stuff that's no. Some of this stuff that don't even happen, and people going to jail and prison for crimes that hadn't even happened. Somebody just made up.
You can get pulled over by the police, and just because just because you make it might be over some insurance. You know, they look at you don't got your insurance. Now they done went back to their car, and whenever the police keep you on a traffic stop for longer than 15 or 20 minutes, they digging. They looking for something to put on you, or they looking for something to connect you to something. And if they can connect you to anything in their system, guess what? That insurance ain't gonna play the part no more. Look, let's lock him up for this because look, he looked like this person.
Right.
He matched the identity, the profile. Right. The profile meets his criteria. If he especially if he's been in the system before, if he on probation or he been locked up before, they're gonna dig and find something to take you into custody for,
and create a whole cycle.
Then after that, it's the process.
Yeah.
You gotta go to court. Now you gotta get it. Now you gotta get either you gotta get bailed out. And when you know, like when you get arrested, especially if you're out here living your life productively. Now you in jail, you done lost your job, you can't pay the bail to get out on something that's something that they went into their system and can figure that it was you. That's a small scale. That happens. You know, we might not think that happens, but that happens. But on a large scale, here it is now, you didn't lock me up for 25 years for this.
For something I ain't had no knowledge of.
I wasn't there.
Right. Wasn't there, don't know nothing about it.
And people just have masks on. You got people in there telling y'all I got masks on, faulty identity. You know, that's
your
crazy.
eyes is not a video camera. You can't see something in the record and you keep it.
Right quick.
It doesn't work like that.
The case with this sister named Yolanda Nelson, her brother.
Yeah.
That's why when I speak about the literacy part of things, you know, if we can't read and we can't write and we let them trick us into signing something because we not educating we don't know that that's something we should do because we think that's going to get us off. That's the trick right there. A lot of us get tricked into that, and then once you get caught up in that, it's the same process. But they saying you admitted to it now,
right?
So
he didn't even know how to write his name.
His IQ was so low that he couldn't. That his literacy was messed up, and they used that to convict to get the to convict them to solve a case.
Right.
And that's wicked, man. I look at that as being wicked. You know, pertaining to the brother Kenyon Clinton, he deserves his freedom. You know, like he said, he was trying to be somebody before he went to prison. Until his life took a toll. His mother got killed. His father got killed. His mother got on drugs. You know, if you just gotta sometimes if you never been in there, if you ain't never been there, put yourself there. How would you react? What would you have done at 14, 15, 16 years old, losing your father, losing your mother, and then you going over your aunt's house or wherever you living at? Because sometimes when you out there like that, your stay can only be welcome for so long. So people taking care of other people's children. You know, you got a house for the children now. And then I go to foster care, where we need to look into that as well, because that foster care is children in foster care that's going to wind up going to prison.
Yeah, it's like the pipeline of prison. Yeah. You think school the pipeline is prison. Foster care is too. So we have a new segment called Accountability Matters. And so the system we want to hold accountable today is MDOC. And you talked about that video, Trisha and Shawana, and I want to bring it up. Hold on, guys. Not that one. Here it is.
No, sir, that was good. We're going to work this. No.
You need to listen to what people are saying.
You ain't got his head in your
No, you didn't hear. You are an outright liar. I heard you.
Fire team, fire!
Women
Fire team, fire!
liars.
Okay.
Women gonna say lies. You a liar.
Elected officials reached out to you, and you told them nothing was right. That family reached out to you, you told them nothing was right. Police department reached out to you, you told them their blood is on your hands.
You lying
motherfucker. You want to see that arrogant and not say anything when women have died? Okay. And Crystal is dying right now. You even apologize to Crystal. Because you told everybody Crystal was lying. You told everybody Crystal was lying. But you are the one sitting here lying.
You're fine.
He should be fired. I know. When they talking about him, when they go to lunch and when they doing what they doing, and he's sitting up there knowing he done lied, and somebody, is that a representative?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody voted. They voted him into his position.
No, he's not a representative. He's a ombudsman.
Oh, he's a ombudsman.
Mm-hmm.
He was appointed then. They picked him to do what he's doing.
For 40 years. Some of these people need to go. Well, how? Come on now. You've been doing the job for 40 years. You don't become complacent.
And his attitude was, get out my face. You don't know what you're talking about. So that's why when we talking about being held accountable, now, Shawana already in the scene and heard the conversation. Somebody, if you said something right now to me, or either one of y'all said something to me right now that I may come back later on and we in the same room together and I say it again, and you're gonna be like, you didn't say that. You didn't say it like that. You said it like this. And I'm gonna say, no, I didn't say. And I know I'm lying. I should be held accountable for that, man. I should be held accountable for that. And they made he was held. He in a certain extent. That's why when he walked away, and he know that he's gonna have to be held accountable for that, because he's been doing 40 years. You've been sitting up here lying and manipulating the process for 40 years.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jennifer Wallace, we've been advocating for Crystal over 4 years now. Jennifer Wallace just passed away. Just imagine if somebody would have did something 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Jennifer Wallace might not even be dead today. We got a clip that they didn't play on the news of Jennifer Wallace's brother.
And that's what happened. And that was a violation of her constitutional rights, her 8th Amendment. She has a right to not endure cruel and unusual punishment. And, like the environment, here's the thing. Women's Huron Valley, we're here doing a news story now, but this is not news. This is known, this is history. Since 1984, this institution, Women's Huron Valley, has had a problem with mistreating the women who are incarcerated there. Why? How do I know that? Because there's been dozens upon dozens of lawsuits, dozens upon dozens of investigations, and still nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And so you know what that tells me? That tells me that the state of Michigan intends for those women to suffer as they do in Women's Huron Valley. The state intended for my sister to pass away from gross medical neglect. And in that case, there is no reason for that institution to exist. There's no reason for an institution. There's no reason for an institution like that in a society that respects human rights and human dignity. And they did not respect the human rights and the dignity of my sister, and they will regret treating her the way they did. They will regret the day they crossed the Jenny Wallace family, and we will keep fighting, not just for justice, but to change the very system that allows for us to punish working class women to death in an institution that has no value. It makes nobody safer. In fact, the only thing that institution has done is make people less safe. Subjected women to sexual assault by the people who work there, subjected women to malnutrition and poor nutrition. Let me tell you what they feed them. They feed them $2.74 per meal in Women's Huron Valley, less than $10 a day. My cat gets more. I spend more on my cat's food than they do on women at Huron Valley. Okay, so this is not. Oh, there's just a few problems with the facility. This facility was meant to be hell on earth. It was meant to be a death camp. And where is Gretchen Whitmer, who hasn't said nothing about this prison, nothing about the conditions that have these women have been suffering? My sister died alone. She died alone. And we will never forget that. We're never going to forget that. We're never going to let it go. We're never, ever going to forget that. And there's nothing you can do to change that. But you can stop the suffering of these women right now. You can stop the suffering that's still going on in there right now, today. We don't even need more policy. Go in there and stop it right now. You have the authority of the state. Go in there and stop it. Make sure they're getting the medical care. Make sure they're getting decent treatment fit for a human being. And let me tell you something. If the state of Michigan will not do that, the people will do that. The people will get together. We will organize, right? We want that second hearing. We want that warden in front of the people answering for his actions. We want all of those inspectors answering for their actions, right? Okay? And let me tell you something. If we don't get that hearing, there's going to be a public hearing. There's going to be a community hearing on the steps of the Capitol in each of your districts, right? In each of the state representative districts, we'll have a public tribunal in every single one of them if necessary to rally the people. Because we're not going to tolerate this anymore. We're not going to tolerate the extrajudicial killing, the murder, the execution of DeQuayne Johnson in Grand Rapids just the other day, executed like Alex Preddy. We're not going to tolerate women being put to death via medical neglect. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. And we're not going to rely on do-nothing politicians, Democratic and Republican alike, who have had ample opportunity to stop state violence and have done nothing, not one of them. And so, yes, I want you to remember this. The Jenny Wallace family is coming for the state of Michigan for what they did to our Jenny. Lloyd Simpson, LLOYD SIMPSON.
But let's do a little snapshot here. You have drugs being brought in by employees. You have employees harassed, retaliated, they're targeted. You have drug use. You have missing meals, strip searches, overdose deaths, inspectors bringing in drugs, wrong medication given to a woman who died. We're not even talking about the past rapes that the state paid out millions on. Never mind that. You have missing meals, equipment not giving, sexual harassment, rape cases, and the payout here. So to me, this is waste, fraud, and abuse that needs to be addressed. And it should have been done decades ago here at this facility. And Michigan has let you down here, but we're going to do something. We're going to take action.
Hi, I'm Christian.
Yes. So when we say accountability matters, accountability matters. We have to hold these people accountable. If we got to call them out, we got to stand up, and we're going to have to do it. This is just not only for Crystal, this is for every woman in there. Every woman in there should be tested. Every employee in there should be tested to make sure that you don't have mold inside your body. There should be tests. The state should at least do that. Free Crystal and bring her home and send her to U of M so they can get her better. It's other women that's in there sick. We were talking about Teresa Dunlap 2-3 years ago with the chemo, with the mold in her chemo port. It's just so much, and we had to just continue until they do what they need to do. We had to continue to stand on it, stand together with those women. Go ahead, Dion.
But right quick, Ms. J. Love, you know, it's a process to what y'all doing, and why those women in that prison is in the condition that they in is because of the so-called the leadership. You know, if to be honest, Washington was on her job. You know what I'm saying, to assure that the stuff that's going on in prison don't supposed to be going on, it wouldn't be going on. But you got to look at like I said, it's an industry. It's an industry. Drugs, you know, people gonna give each other in prison when you know when most people that's in prison, women prison and men prison. You know, if there was a dope fiend when they was out here, when they go in there and get, you know, and it trigger they stimulant on their mind, taking other people's medication, getting them high. Mm-hmm. You could take somebody, if I don't supposed to be, if this medication is not for my body to function, my brain in a certain way, and I take it, of course I'm gonna flip out. Of course it's gonna have me, I'm gonna have a reaction to it. But there is not even to that. Drugs don't get into prison just by chance.
Right.
No, they go over the fence.
Like drugs don't get into prison just by chance. You know, it's somebody that's getting paid out here for them drugs to get into prison. So, and the way they do it, the sister said, the lady said it. You know, they got it's a system. So if I can give you whatever streets, the value of drugs in prison is 10 times higher than it is on the street, and it don't have to be no real heavy duty drug. But they bringing in stuff under the mop buckets and they selling it. They're selling it. You know what I'm saying? And people is out here making people cash out money to people. You cash out my money to that person, you get that. So that person gonna get paid. Whoever brought the drugs in gonna get paid. You never know that person is involved in that until they get caught.
Right. And that's what the whistleblower basically said. They coming in there, and then that's the day. Look at who working the double. You know who it is. Look at the person that's working the double, because that's exactly what she said. They bring it in the mop bucket, and they don't leave until they make their money.
So how do you watch being over that spectrum of our so-called correctional facility, and you not doing nothing about it? Mm-hmm. You getting a paycheck. You getting paid to let them people do what they want to do to our people, to people.
Right.
To so-called undesirable, because she probably looking at everybody in prison as undesirables. They not worth nothing no way. If they not trying to control, you know, it's only one women's prison.
Right. One.
That should be the most sanitized, cleanest facility in Michigan pertaining to incarcerated individuals at a women's prison.
Mm-hmm. Probably one of the worst.
I remember right quick. I remember somebody has sent some pictures from inside of Huron Valley, right? And the cell, the way the conditions of the cell looked at like a third world country. Stuff hanging on the wall, paint peeling off the walls. You know what I'm saying? That's how it look in there. And that's why they have to, you know, the lady even said right quick, the lady said, well, the only time they do things is when they know somebody coming. And then the lady went in there and they tried to lie and say that was the black stuff on the black stuff was paint. Where you get black paint from if you're trying to paint it white?
That part right there.
They paint over the mold. They call the man with the paint Sherman Williams.
Williams, yeah.
Because Sherman Williams bringing them the paint every time when somebody come. Now they really paint on the mold because they could come in there at any time. So now they paint all damn day. Sherman Williams probably tired of looking at all the buckets of paint.
Well, I just seen a post.
Right quick. That's why they should tell, like you said, that's why people should be getting tested.
Mm-hmm.
people should be getting tested because mold can cause a mental statement in your brain. You get weak, you can't start thinking right, you're doing things that you usually don't do. But this sister got it growing out of her ears.
Right.
Yeah, mold is sepsis, and sepsis breaks down the nerves and so that it goes to your brain. It goes from your brain all the way down, and so your mental health, your physical health, ultimately, you die from sepsis. And so that is what Jennifer Wallace's death was of sepsis. And we know that sepsis is a symptom of invasive Aspergillus syndrome. So
Aspergillus is what Crystal has in her ears and in her lungs,
and on her feet and on her legs and everywhere. Yeah, it's like, and the thing is that back to Heidi Washington is being protected by the governor. This is why they keep talking about they have immunity, but what they don't understand is just because the governor has governmental immunity, that does not mean that y'all have it. Y'all don't have immunity. So I know the governor don't want to do nothing right now, but y'all ass could be on the way to jail. Medical negligence is a crime. So it would behoove you, Heidi Washington, because I know y'all be watching. It would behoove you. Okay, I know you think you're protected by the top cop, but if the feds come in, sweetheart, you hit. Do what's right. Save lives. If you do what's right, because this is not going away. This is not going away. Many people are raising up now. Many families are using their voices. This is not going away. You guys are going to have to do something. And the sad part about it is when they do something, guess who money it is? That's what? That's our money they spending. That's our money that's going to be paid out with these $100 million lawsuits that are getting ready to come from that. That's our money. That's why we got to be involved in this.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? She could look like a hero. You can turn this. You can look like a hero. You can say, you know what? I want to get everybody tested. I want to get Crystal out of there. And people will be like, oh my God, Heidi Washington, you're amazing.
Because she's not going to be in office when the next governor get there. She's not going to be there.
No, they're going to get her out of there. They're going to get her ass out of there. They're not going to, because if they don't get her out of there, then this is going to be a stain on their administration, which makes Gretchen dumb. Because you're going to go down in history as the murderous governor of the state of Michigan, okay? Because if you didn't have that governmental immunity, all those deaths, all those names that we read, that would be charges of murder. What do they call it? Negligence, homicide, or something like that. Yeah. It's sick, man. It's sick, but that's why we just got to keep our hands to the plow. And the public hearing was great, but we can't see a lot of people get to that and they be like, oh, they get a sigh of relief because they got one little thing. That don't mean nothing to me. When we left there, we was action planning around the table when we went to go eat, talking about what we was getting ready to do next.
On the next thing.
Stop until Crystal comes home. It doesn't stop until all those women in there that are sick are let go. It doesn't stop until they shut Women Huron Valley Prison down. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And they can figure out what they need to do, because that's not our job. Our job is just to stand on the truth. So, do you have, Dion, I know it's something before we leave out of here tonight. Talk about this.
That's the town hall that we're having on March the 7th, the power of influence, where we're gonna have some distinguished people come out to speak about those topics down there, and public safety is one of the things that actually all those topics are well needed in our community. Mm-hmm. We got a couple of commissioners that's going to be speaking pertaining to public safety and the voters registration and education. It's an organization called VAC, headed by Angela Dunlap. She'll be there speaking about the importance of why we should register to vote and why we should build voters block, so we could pick the people who we really want to be in a position to have that person in a position. You know, all it takes is to be educated and to be informed about how we vote. Equal access to resources. You know, we look in our communities, and some of our communities don't have the same resources as other communities have. You know, they got organizations out here now like D-Win to help D-Win soar. The Harvard, like they got organizations that help, but it's hard to get to them programs and them resources if you're not in those certain communities. You have to go to that, and we need more in our communities. Protection of the law. You know, that's a full circle on certain things. How when we go to court, you know, our protection of the law sometimes is ignored. You know, because because we don't know. You know, some of us don't know the law, so we need to know the protections that we under. We need to know that if I say I don't want to say nothing, that's what I don't want. I'm not saying nothing. That's what that means. You know, so we look into that and community engagement, getting more involved in our communities. You know, I'm glad that the mayor had she made a sign what is that they signed something to put programs into existence. You know what I'm saying? Executive order. She signed that executive order to bring individuals to hold places to help curb the violence in our communities. We talked about that today. And criminal justice reform. What does criminal justice reform really look like? Do it need to be reformed, or do it just need to be redone over again? You know what I'm saying? I know that reform means to change it, but it should it just be broke down in a whole different way? It shouldn't be reformed. It should be excluded and putting something else in place of that. Because like the brother said, if you ain't in certain facilities and certain areas of incarceration in certain places, you're not going to get the same treatment as you would in another facility. And then our youth deterrence, you know what I'm saying? We need to work more with our youth. So we're going to have people that's going to be qualified individuals to talk about those particular topics. And it is hosted by Chapter 1013 NLA and Power of the People, the brother Edward Hicks Eel, that he spoke on what Pops First is, and it's community engagement. And I encourage ones if they're going to another event, if they finish with that event, they can come up to Godland and be informed and be able to voice what you need to voice pertaining to what do you see in your community? How do you see your community growing? How do you see your community flourishing? What area can you step in to help make your community safe? We do know that in a safe community, the schools are important in safe communities. You know what I'm saying? Being able to have a rec center in your community, or engaging with one another in your community, it helps play a good part in doing things in our community. You know, that's what that's all about on March the 7th.
Oh, March the 7th is gonna be a busy day. Got something from Shawana. That is the day of empathy in the earlier portion of the day. So I'm glad that's in the earlier portion of the day so folks can attend both events. This day of empathy starts at 11 a.m. and it is going to be hosted by Silent Cry, and it's empathy over everything. Also, Marilyn Mosby is going to be the keynote speaker for that. It's going to be at the Shrine of Black Madonna. That's 7625 Linwood in Detroit, Michigan, 48206. Again, that's 11. Starts at 11 a.m. on March the 7th.
And also pertaining to the event that we're having as well, the town hall, you don't necessarily have to be there in person. If you scan that QR code, it could take you to the Zoom link. So you could just come on to the Zoom link. You could be at your event where you at and tap in to see what we're doing at our event, if that's what you want to do.
Didn't know my mic was muted. We're gonna March the 10th. We're gonna be with Mr. Beat the Odds at is that the federal court that's on West Grand Boulevard, and then afterwards he has rented out space at the St. Regis, and he's gonna have a panel, and he's gonna have all kinds of things going on. And these are here are all the groups that are supporting this event. So March the 10th. From 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at St. Regis after the hearing. I think the hearing starts at 9. So make sure you're there to support the Real Ewans. And that's it for this week of Turning the Moment into a Movement. We'll be back next Saturday with myself and Leslie talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson. So we're going to do a tribute to Reverend Jesse Jackson next week. So that's it for tonight.
I thank you for having me on your show today, Miss J Love. I appreciate that. Thank you for inviting me on here, man. You know.
Oh yeah, anytime you are free, come sit with us. All right, you guys. See you next week on Turning the Moment into a Movement. Good night.
Peace.
Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Just a light of mine. Just a light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh Lord, just let it shine. This light of mine, this light of mine. Oh Lord, would you please just let it shine. Take the drama out of my life. Oh Lord, every night, the pain ain't right. I wake up at night, I never sleep. 26, 10, and 7, that's just me. Every day I need a little seed. I need a little fresh air, man, I need to breathe. All I know is trauma, all I know is tickets. All I know is no visit. All I know is a mission to get straight up out of prison. Lord have mercy for me. Lord have mercy on my people. Preacher Mary Washington and all my real. Lord have mercy with my people. I pray to God, we really need you. When I was down bad, when things weren't going right, every time I prayed at night, I put my hands up in my face. I said, Lord have mercy, little light of mine. Lord God, please let it shine. It's the drama that I live in my life. I swear to God, I was a bad guy every night. 10 toes down, salute. Everybody suffering, everybody who trying to make a way. Everybody looking for the sky, everybody looking for that piece of pie. In a law library, I know what that feel like. Hoping that somebody get active and involved in your situation. Man, pop your collar and pray. Cause Lord have mercy on my soul. And they make bad guy father get out soon. And the rest of those brothers who be mobbing to child each morning. Oh man, I ain't going to this afternoon. Man, I'ma miss dinner today. I got a couple of noodles. You know what that feel like? You know what it is. And if you a victim of a wrongful conviction, suffered and served by Ken Worthy, then I know that you know what that pain feel like. And your mama know what that pain feel like. Your father know what that pain feel like. With that light, let that little shine. Let that light shine, a little light of mine. Bad guy, Doughboy Week, all these great people in this great world of ours. 10 toes down, salute. I appreciate you, bad guy. I appreciate you, Week. I appreciate the tech. I appreciate everybody in the studio. We gonna pop off that LV. Ooh-wee. Cause that's what they be liking to see. But I hope you hear the missing when you see me fresh. Salute.